Hey everybody, it's the Review Revolution, back at you again, and yes, I know I've been putting it off and doing other things and not getting back to it, but we will finish, or we are going to finish, the DC Universe Classics Wave 12. We're so close to it, 3 figures left, and today's is going to be Desaad. Desaad is actually the 7th figure in the wave. Big number 7. Got one variant and then Darkseid to do. But yeah, we are technically completely finished with all the figures in the wave with one variant and Darkseid left. So Desaad is the final character. Couple reasons I was waiting on him. First off, he's a base piece, meaning that he comes with the base of the figure. Blah. Second, Desaad actually has probably one of the biggest connections to Darkseid himself. So I figured he'd be a good one to kind of cap off on before we actually did the big guy. Taking a look, there he is, the prototype at least. And from what I can tell, his articulation may not be as bad as I think, but I think it might be pretty bad. Just taking a look at the packaging. Just to show you it's the same thing that's always been. 75 years of superpowers. Collect and connect piece, wave 12, figure 5 actually, had we been doing these in order. Oh, on the bottom, it says, contains one figure and accessory. So one figure and accessory. I haven't been doing the bottom as much as I said I was going to. I'll try and do that better. But on the back, on his bio, it says, there is no more fearsome place in all the universe than the planet Apocalypse, where Desaad is the right-hand man of the planet's cruel overlord, the godlike Darkseid. Desaad has a favorite place in Darkseid's court, specializing in devising super weapons and torture devices for his ruler. Few ever speak openly against Desaad, knowing that he has spies everywhere. Regardless of his slight nature and lack of powers, he commands fear and deference from Apocalypse's endless array of villains and monsters. So that's who he is. Doesn't tell you much about the background. I won't get into it a whole lot, except to say that Desaad was actually a member of New Genesis. And because of a rather twisted ploy by Darkseid, it fundamentally scarred him, and I think is why he kind of took on the role of being this sort of, really twisted torture kind of guy. So, go to the DC Wiki to look it up, but and it's an interesting story. It's worth looking into. I wish the bio had gotten into it a little bit more. Statistics, first appearance, The Forever People, number 2, 1971. Real name, Desaad. Occupation, Master Torturer. Base of operations, Apocalypse. Special abilities, Immortal, as all new gods are. Inventor of weapons and torture technologies. So, that's kind of the skinny on Desaad. One thing, when I was doing some research on him, I did find out that actually, for this wave, and I wish I had known this earlier, that for Eclipso, the Spectre, Desaad, Mary Batson, and Darkseid, these 5 characters, Dr. Midnight, I didn't find the connection to, Copperhead and Iron, nothing there either, but at least for these 5, there's some epic story going on, particularly about the time of the Final Crisis. So I probably would have done these reviews completely differently had I known how interwoven at least 5 of the characters were. But that's a quick look at Desaad in the pack. We'll take a moment, pop them open, have some fun. Be right back. Alright everybody, welcome back. We've got Desaad out of his box, and this guy is awesome. I mean, awesome in I guess awesome when looked at as a whole for the wave. Desaad just knocks it out of the park. Great figure. Really, really awesome. Despite things that I would like to have been different, he is fantastic. I love how Desaad turned out. Now, first off, I'm not all that interested in Desaad. I mean, as far as the character goes, I know who he is, but he's not that high up on my list. But despite that, Mattel has done a fantastic job recreating his figure, putting him out there. Much like Iron, when you look at him, and actually before I get into that, his cloak, from what I'm seeing on my screen right now, it's very, very light purple. It's a very purplish kind of color, when in fact it is much darker in hand. So I don't know if it's really going to look this purple when I see it on YouTube when I upload it, but at least just to let everybody know, he's not really this pink. He's not this orangish or purplish pink color. So that aside, much like Iron, his body is covered in kind of a soft plastic armor. In this case, it's just part of his cloak. And the folds and the sculpt, not only on the front, but on the arms and on the skirt part, it's really well done. On the hood, I mean, considering he's supposed to be kind of this master of torture, they've definitely given him kind of the Spanish Inquisition type of, robes that come off looking just brilliant. It looks great. The big difference between him and Iron is the fact that whereas Iron's armor comes down a bit, Desaad actually does have a break in it, so he has his twist at his waist, and he's got his crunch. Not much, but it is there. So even though he's got a whole body piece on the front, there's enough there so that he can actually use part of his articulation. Looking at his face, because you've seen the hood looks fantastic. I would say that if you get a second to decide and you can pop the face out of the hood, I mean, that's a great piece for customizing with. That looks brilliant. But taking a look at the face, because I don't want you to miss this. This is just a wonderful sculpt. I mean, he is just oozing of. Oh, he's just oozing. I mean, talk about a slimy, oily little creep. I mean, this is. Oh man, he just looks gross. But it's the character. It is such a well portrayed character in the sculpt. I think it's fantastic. I mean, that's really, really good. Especially whenever you catch him at a different kind of angle, it really looks great. Now, the head does turn. There's not much of the ball joint on there. It's just left and right mostly. The arm does come out, twist. And you can see here, again, where there's... I guess that's one of the few complaints I have, is that the way the shoulder fits into the bicep, it is a little clunky. It's not quite of a smooth transition, so it does look a little funny. But being that it's part of his robes, I can kind of forgive it. But it comes out, twists the bicep, elbow, and wrists. And as you can see, he's got these very slender, very bony kind of, bony hands that really, show that he's not a imposing, brute like Calabac. So in fact, he must be, a very, mighty intelligence, which he's not. On the bottom, again, you can see the robes that go along the legs. Now, it does show the sculpt on it has kind of the legs sculpted like it's fitting on top over the legs. That's done really nice. You can actually almost see his legs in his robes. I love how that's sculpted. That looks beautiful. You don't get much back and forth on the leg. There is a cut here, so the leg will come out both sides. Twist at the bicep, knee, and foot. The sculpt on the boot is nice. Not just the straps that they added kind of on top of it, but even at the top of the boot, it's really well done. It looks very, very nice. I'm not going to lift up his skirt to show you his legs because there's nothing there to see, and, well, I've already done that on Molar. I'm not going to get a reputation of lifting skirts. Along with Desaad, he does come with his chest-mounted vacuum cleaner thingy, which just slips on over his head. And then the various hoses and handles go into his hands. And I'm not entirely sure why, but apparently the tubules here actually move up and down. Not quite sure why. Oops. There is some great sculpting. That's not a sticker. That's actually sculpted and painted electronics on the vacuum cleaner part and on the back. Looks really good, and certainly makes Desaad look more like his Superpowers version, or the way you'd see him from the Superpowers. And apparently this one doesn't want to fit in his hand very well. Hold on to it. Okay, don't. But the reason I mention that is because, of course, he comes with the Superpowers base, with not a sticker, but the Superpowers logo actually painted on. Considering I'm not a big fan of bases, I like the way this turns out. This is actually really cool. And his button, not of the character, but in fact is a shot of Darkseid with Superman. And considering Darkseid's not getting his own button, I think this is a pretty cool one. I'm pretty happy with it. So overall, Desaad, really cool figure. I have to say, it's something where if you're picking up the wave, yeah, you're not going to really care all that much about most of the figures that are in there. But trust me, Desaad is worth picking up. For now, certainly thank you for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe, join the revolution, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.